today we will be exploring the topic of men and women, the difference.
I do have a lot of problems with women, and that's where this subject stemmed from. You know, Jack, you're a real feminist. It's like Larry David said, I'm all for women. I love them. I love making love to them. You know, and then his wife says, no, that doesn't mean you're a feminist. You know, men and women, there are no differences. The differences are between people. In other words, people are different. What men and women have in common are unbelievably more shocking than their differences. We all are emotional. I don't think anyone's different. See, that's the whole deal. We are so alike. I think that's why we have problems. You asked the question here, are the differences real? Yes, but they're slight. For example, two swimmers in the Olympics. What divides them usually? 1/100th of a second. Yeah, well, everybody knows in a piano competition or a violin competition, sometimes a person who doesn't even make the finals has a huge international career. Life is not that difficult if you don't look at it as a hassle. If you do look at life as a hassle, I know because I do, you are going to have a rough time. Well, I mean, I often do. I say, oh, that's a hassle. I'm not going to deal with that. How many times have I told you that? How many times have I told any of my colleagues that?
Right.
I don't want...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I don't like hassles, but if you look at life as a hassle, like going to pick up some food and then bringing it home and it's cold and then you got to put it in the microwave, that's a hassle, you know. I don't like takeout because I like to eat it at the restaurant. Whereas maybe a friend of mine goes, no, I can't stand going out. Bring it. Cold food, I love cold pizza. I love cold lasagna. I do not like that stuff. But compromise enters into the picture. What can you do about them, your differences? You can compromise. You can talk. You can keep the channels open. You can keep the dialogue going. You can keep your mind open. And how many politicians do we know? I knew Henry Kissinger, and he told me all about it. He said the trouble with people and politics is that there are millions of mice trying to go after one little piece of cheese. That's what he told me. He said, go to your local university and check it out. Everybody's chasing their tail for tenure. Everybody's trying to out-publish the other. Everyone's trying to outperform the other. Oh, I played with the Seattle Symphony the other day, and it's recorded. I got $20,000 from the Office for the Vice President for Research. Did you? You know, that kind of thing. It's competitive. People are too competitive. They're too worried about their station in life, hence the differences. Hence, what can you do about them? Most people just clam up and go into their little cocoon.
Open-mindedness and narrow. If you become narrowly focused on the same things everyone else is focused on. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they enter their cocoon, I call it. And they're in a cocoon and they will not come out. They don't want to talk about it. I know a lady that's 90 years old, and every day she says to me, I don't like people. I don't want to have anything to do with people. I'm through with people. Well, if you're 90, I suppose that's kind of typical. You know, you're at the end of your life. You're in this eschatological stage of your life, meaning we've talked. Okay. Yes, it's the final stage. Yeah. And you're just ready to check out. But what if she had the opposite attitude? What if she said, well, tell me about that.
People are a hassle, but let me seek them out and have these hard conversations, maybe. Yeah.
Well, I would say to her
about life being a struggle, and life. You know, are you really living? You're not really living if you're not having breakthroughs, and breakthroughs don't mean that they're easy, right?
No, you're right. Life. The definition of life is struggle. If there isn't a struggle, there's no meaning to life, and you don't learn anything.
There's no meaning.
Meaning. Learning. If there's no meaning to your life, then what's the point of existence? That's an existential question. Why would you exist if there is no meaning. So, you hear about, for example, what's his name, that actor that hung himself recently, 7 years ago, Robin Williams,
Robin Williams.
Okay, he committed suicide. What goes through a brilliant mind like that, who's really, you have to admit, one of the quickest comedy brains of all time.
Great
very, very
comic.
quick. Yeah. A great comic, but it was so fast. It was so fast. You see him on Johnny Carson or something, and the mind is just going. And you wonder, how can he think of so many funny things, one after the other, adjacent to, just on and on and on, continuous. And then he kills himself. So you think, he killed himself because he's a genius. No, that's not right. There are a lot of geniuses that don't kill themselves.
Yeah,
He killed himself because he had a bad relationship. No, there are a lot of people that have a lot of bad. You don't know. Why? Because perhaps he didn't have any kind of a dialogue with anyone and got it out of his system. And maybe it could have saved his life if there was, I'm not saying this happened because I don't know the guy. It could have been that he didn't have a channel. He didn't have an infrastructure, a highway of information. That's what we call, IT and all. It's a delivery system. You have to travel through this tunnel to get to the other side. And if the information isn't, yeah, no, but I'm saying maybe he didn't get the information he needed to make sense to him to keep him from suicide. So in other words, maybe there was no dialogue between him and someone that could have saved him. Could have been a wife, could have been a boyfriend, could have been whatever it is. I think when you resort to that, when you resort to that those channels are cut off. You are not communicating with anyone. You're an island unto yourself, and you're going to go, I'm just going to end it.
Okay, well,
that's just not
morbid on this show.
No, I'm saying that's the difference between people. I think the real difference between people is this. You can do your little ding dong, and this is a magical moment, right? There are two kinds of people, not men and women.
Yeah.
The ones that are willing to discuss things and work things out and compromise, versus the ones who know everything, the know-it-alls, nope, I'm totally convinced I'm right, and that's the end of it. I will not discuss it no matter what, and that's it. That's the difference between people and people, not men and women. I'll say one more thing. There's only one thing in the world that's evil, and that is unreasonableness. When you're unreasonable, that is pure evil in my book, because because you can't reason. You can only think about your particular situation. Reasoning requires collaboration. Reasoning requires cooperation. Reasoning, like in chamber music. Think of chamber music. Think of the Brahms G minor piano quartet. Do you know the piece? Mm-hmm. Okay. Think of a pianist who just bum 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 bum. I'm just going to play it this way. I don't care what the strings are doing. This is what we're going to do. And there's no way out. You can't play with a person like that. That's evil. Unreasonableness is evil. It's not cooperative. It's not working it out. I believe that's the stumbling block, is the difference between a good and evil. That's what I think.